Hey guys, I'm going to keep this really short because it's super late and I have to get up early in the morning. I got to do some traveling. So I shouldn't be here. But the thing is, I thought Black Panther was coming out next weekend. So I almost missed it. I came here at a super late showing. Our Alamo Draft House had a ton of showings. So I managed to get a really good seat super late. It was like... It was like 11:55 showing, so I'm out of it now and it's almost 3. So I'm gonna try to do this quick. I'm just happy I saw it. It was amazing. I'll do some spoilers in a minute, but just gotta say I thought it was great. I've heard people say it's just another origin story, but a really good one. I kind of disagree as far as it being just another origin story. To me, this was very different from, if you think of Black Panther as a superhero, which I'm sure he is. I'm not familiar with most Marvel characters because I grew up into DC, really, and I liked Spider-Man and Hulk a lot. But then I didn't really get into the Marvel stuff until it started hitting movies. And, started with the X-Men and Spider-Man, Sam Raimi stuff, and Blade and all that. And so I didn't know, like, all these characters that haven't had movies. I don't know them. So this is a new one for me, but I thought it was really different because to me, most of it took place in Wakanda, and it was a lot about, specifically about him becoming king. So I guess you could call it an origin story and him becoming the Black Panther, but he kind of already was, I think, at the beginning of the movie, but he wasn't, like, officially king yet or something. Or maybe this takes place during Civil War, I guess. Does that make sense? I don't know. Because it's basically showing him become king. And then it shows Killmonger, a villain, who tries to take over. So mostly in Wakanda, which is in Africa, and it's like this secret city that is super, like, advanced. It's like Tomorrowland, or something, like, in Africa, hidden, like, somehow. And then they have a part of the film in Korea, and then there are a few parts in California. And there's like a flashback in California that deals with some stuff with Black Panther's father and the previous Black Panther, the previous king. And then and it's essential to the plot. It's really important to the plot. So I don't want to do spoilers yet. I just want to say, it's not like a guy who's like catching criminals in like New York or something. It's not like Batman dropping down on some muggers or whatever, or hardcore like Joker or somebody. It's like dealing with like the becoming the king in Wakanda and where how he's gonna go forward as a king, and who is somebody gonna overthrow him here, and take over the power of the Black Panther, which is the superhero aspect. But yeah, it was very focused on, who's going to be king of Wakanda, and the person who wanted to overthrow him basically wanted to use the secret of Wakanda, which is the metal that they have, which is vibranium, which is the strongest metal in the world, and you can use it for all these technologies and things, and they have super advanced technology because they've had this metal all this time, and nobody else has it. Nobody else knows they have it. And so the guy who wanted to overthrow them, Killmonger, who wants to take over as king, he wanted to use that to kind of take over the world, basically. Which, when I say that, it sounds like Pinky and the Brain, but no, in a more like realistic sense. But yeah, it was really, really good, I thought. As far as flaws in this movie, the only thing that comes to mind, this is not a flaw, the only thing that confused me a little, basically, is as king of Wakanda, there were different tribes, I guess, that were under the king, I guess. But at the same time, like there was one guy who had like a guerrilla tribe, because they have like the Panther tribe, and then there are other types of tribes, and one of them was like a guerrilla tribe, and that guy was really cool later in the film. He seemed like he was a king, equal to Black Panther later in the film anyway, because he could make his own decisions as far as if he was going to help Black Panther or not. And yet, earlier in the film, it seemed like he was lower ranking. That was a little confusing to me. Are these other tribes, I think they're part of Wakanda, but they don't seem to be, I don't know if Black Panther is above them, because the guy who was in the guerrilla tribe could do whatever he wanted. He didn't have to follow any rules. So I don't that confused me a little bit. Not really a flaw, probably just me being confused. But other than that, I just loved everything about the movie. The cast was amazing. I don't really know a lot of their name. They had the guy from The Hobbit. He was in Civil War also, I think. And they had he had the same like sort of captain of the guards woman the king had, and Chadwick Boseman was Black Panther. He was fantastic. He was amazing. I don't know any of the other cast members' names. He had like a love interest character she was great. He had a little sister who was awesome, but she also reminded me a lot of the little sister from Coming to America, who was hilarious. So that always was funny, but but she was awesome. She was like the tech person who was like Q. They had like this scene that was like out of James Bond, where she's showing him like this new tech. That was really cool. Yeah, it was awesome. I loved this movie. I mean, I love most of the Marvel movies, really. I think the only one that I was kind of like, or like the first couple of Thor movies, I was just kind of, they were good, but there were a few things that annoyed me in those. Other than that, I mostly love all the Marvel movies, the MCU ones. But this is another fantastic one. It's one of those that I would put up on the higher end, just because I thought it was really original, It wasn't just, I'm going to become a superhero. It was a different kind of story to me from the other stuff we've gotten. It was totally about this world, this place that they lived and becoming the leader of that place. And then to get into spoilers, which I'm not going to do much, it's almost not even too necessary. But if I was going to say anything that maybe people wouldn't know. So basically the villain is Black Panther's cousin. And so he kind of has a right to take over, to challenge Black Panther. But he's, he grew up in America, and his father was actually killed by the king, who was his uncle. And he grew up super jaded and angry, and wanting, to take over and to have power so that he could, go out across the world and just like take over and everything. And it's, I got a low battery there, light. So it was kind of, at times it was really heartbreaking. Like they have flashbacks to when he was a kid and his father died and everything. And it's the amazing thing about the actor playing Killmonger, that's what he was called. I mean, he was like a ruthless guy. He did some horrible stuff. Like he had, again, this is spoiler zone. He had like a girlfriend that, he seemed pretty tight with, and then he just totally shot her at one point, just to get the upper hand on Claw, because Claw was another villain in this, and not as major a role as expected. He had a major role for like half the movie, so there was that stuff about Claw, and but yeah, Claw doesn't make it through this, and but this actor, he did all this horrible stuff, this character, but man, you still feel for this guy, because it's those flashbacks, you know, when he was a kid, and then the moment where in the end where he dies, you kind of feel bad for him, and then Black Panther's there with him, and it's like this is his cousin, you know, and he's like had to kill him, you know, at the end because he does, and it was really sad. It was really, I mean, I teared up a couple times in this movie. At times I teared up just because it was so beautifully done, you know. It's a gorgeous movie. These Marvel movies are usually pretty beautiful too, you know. Fantastic movie. I totally love it. The ending, what was I going to say? Yeah, there's a bit at the end. Oh, great music too, by the way. Fantastic music in this movie. There was a bit at the end, so you want to stay through the credits. There's a bit in the credits, and that's just sort of like follow up a little bit more of the story of the movie. Not really a to be continued, like, I mean, not really let's, you know, bring them back for Avengers. But then at the end of all the credits is your clip that teases the next Avengers movie, which had Bucky Barnes in it, and so that was cool. That was really cool. Also, before the movie, at the Alamo Drafthouse, they always have special "Don't Text During the Film" notices, and this time they had one with Chadwick Boseman. And I don't know if this one was specific to the Alamo Drafthouse. Usually we see ones that are specific to the Drafthouse. This one, I'm thinking, might have been everywhere. And part of the reason I think that is after the movie, he came out again, and it was hilarious. It was so funny. That was just like, that just ended the night perfectly on a great note. It was just hilarious. And I'm hoping that they show that in all theaters and not just the Alamo Drafthouse. Let me know in the comments if you saw it, if they had that. You'll know what I'm talking about. It's when he's like, I'm still watching, making sure nobody's texting and stuff. So yeah, it was fantastic. I highly recommend this one. I really loved it because I didn't feel like it was typical origin story. I felt it was a very unique kind of origin story because it was a lot about becoming king, more than becoming a superhero. It didn't have a strong superhero movie feel for me. It was just too unique to call it that, because he wasn't really going out and he was catching criminals because he went after Claw, and you know, I mean, it was kind of superhero stuff. It was very, well, you know, the Marvel and especially like the Avengers and all that, it's not typical superhero stuff. I mean, Spider-Man does typical superhero stuff, but the Marvel stuff that I've seen, the other stuff like Avengers and stuff, it's a little bit more I don't know, it's more like espionage and like it's like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. but with more hardcore superpowers and stuff, you know? It's almost secret agent stuff, but like with superpowers. It's not like catching criminals and things like that, which is what I'm more used to with DC, and then stopping the big bad supervillain. I mean, you do have that in Marvel. You have the big supervillains also, but yeah, it's a little different. It's more global, I guess, a lot of the time. And then like for the more localized stuff, it's like, yeah, that's why you have Netflix and you have Daredevil and stuff like that, which I also love all that next Netflix stuff. I'm a little behind on that. I need to catch, I still need to watch, what was the last, I didn't even see Defenders yet. And then whatever came after that, I forget what's come after that. But yeah, I need to catch up with that stuff. And I still haven't seen season 2 of Agent Carter. Is that what it's called? And I need to catch up with S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm falling behind with the TV stuff. Kind of annoyed that it doesn't mix in as much as they originally said that it would, you know. But with the movies. But anyway, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I really liked this movie. I highly recommend it. I don't think it's just typical, you know, like typical origin story. And you know, people who are saying that are still saying it's really good. And that's correct. You know, it's very good. But yeah, I thought it was more unique than that, and deserves credit for that. And I thought the cast was amazing, and I loved it. I loved the characters. I loved the story. I thought it was very cool. I thought it was really cool. There's some CGI, like there's some there's some CGI rhinos that maybe could look a little less CGI, but but it wasn't bad. It wasn't like that big of a problem. It was still cool. They were cool. Okay, guys, that's about it. I have got to get going. I don't remember seeing. Yeah, I saw some trailers, but I don't remember anything like that I hadn't seen before that was really like worth talking about. I mean, you know, Wrinkle in Time. Definitely want to see that. I forget what else they showed. I kind of barely made it into the theater, so like I'm surprised they sold me the ticket, because the Draft House usually, if you're not in by a certain time, they won't even sell you a ticket. But I made it. Okay, go see Black Panther. It is awesome. I'll talk to you later, guys.